Hey, what's up, my people? Motley GM back again with a little bit of a different video for you. Forgive me if the lighting is a little bit weird. I'm working with what I have, so hopefully this isn't too terrible. There are a few topics that I want to briefly discuss, but I don't feel that any of them really constituted a full video of their own. So here we are. Basically, in this little variety video, there are a few things I would like to clarify from past videos, and I will throw in some newsy stuff in the end about some happenings, games, and projects that I'm kind of excited about. Now, why am I doing this? Well, for the first part of the video at least, I'm trying to grow as a creator, and I want to be sure there's some clarity in the name of transparency and moving forward. By growing as a creator, I'm specifically talking about my little video essays themselves and the presenting of ideas. There's always room to improve and grow, and I'm definitely an example of that, everybody. The format will stay pretty much the same. I do enjoy the simple aesthetic and podcast style, and I don't have to buy a bunch more equipment for that. It's really the presentation of my ideas I'm hoping to improve on. The second part of this video is just some cool stuff I want to make you aware of, mostly. Now, before I go further, this is a great place for me to put the typical disclaimer in. I don't get paid for any of this, and everything you see on the table is something that I purchased myself. For your viewing pleasure today, as I'm rambling, we have two of the channel's favorite games here, Grit Fantasy RPG by Gnomebot Studios and Index Card RPG by Runehammer Games. Two favorites of the channel, as I said. Check them out. I'll link them below, but I don't think I even need to. People know these games by now, but they'll be linked below if you want to check them out. Now that my disclaimer's out of the way and you know what you're looking at, let's take a look at a couple of topics that I want to clarify from some of my past videos, and the first one is concerning history. In earlier videos, I discussed history and tabletop RPGs a few times, actually. I don't feel I ever fully clarified where I stand here. I want to be sure that I make that clear. I'll break it up into a couple of subcategories to be fully clear on this subject. First, I'll talk about real-world history and your fantasy world, and the second will be the unique history of your world. Now, they'll kind of tie together a little bit, but I think you'll see what I mean. Now, when it comes to real-world history and your game, far be it from me to actually tell you what to put in your game. I would never really try to do that. I merely hope to guide those who are looking in a similar direction as I am, so to speak. In earlier videos, I like to try to drop some small nuggets of a topic that I plan to elaborate on later. I feel when it comes to history, I really failed at doing that. At one point, I even advocated for not using real-world history in your game, but did not fully address what I meant by that. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Now, unfortunately, I will admit, I did make that statement more inflammatory than was necessary, and that was my bad. Now, what I really want to say and what I really want to advocate for here is that instead of just choosing an event and using what I will term here as popularized history, that you take time to learn actual real history. Now, what I'm calling popularized history here is what can often be presented in TVs or movies. Much of that type of history isn't true or is very highly embellished. There are so many examples of TVs and movies that do this that I won't get into all that. Now, what I really hope for is that more people would look into actual historical events, and not just one event per se, but all the conditions, choices, and smaller events that led up to a larger event. Whether that event is war or conquest, peace, invention, even natural disasters can have some kind of things that led up to the larger event. You get the picture here, and it applies to just about everything. Then take that knowledge and apply it to your world. Now, admittedly, this idea specifically applies to fantasy worlds, since that world might be a very different place altogether than our world, given the existence of magic or different species and ancestries that you might come across that don't exist in this world. It might make that a very different place, and that's really what I'm trying to advocate for on that part of it. Now, if you look at genres like Weird West or wuxia or even alternate history settings in general, they tend to depend on real-world history. So then learning the details about historical events and technology will come in super handy for those games. So that's what I really want to advocate for in the end, is study real-world history and apply what you learn from that to your game. And if your game is using real-world history, then understand those things. And it'll make your game much more fun, and it'll make it a little more immersive when you can add in those little details that other people don't think of. Now, that idea kind of ties into the unique history of your world. You're the world builder, so you can pretty much do what you want. But what I advocate for is that you create some history and lore for your fantasy world that's very unique to that world. You know, I'm always a big fan of taking things both from real life and from fiction and putting them into your game. But at least now and again, it's good to create some type of history that's very unique to your world and the setting that you and your players are in. This can be done very similar to what we did in the Build a World With Me series, where we ask questions and those answers kind of help shape that history. Now, I've said this in the past and I'll say it here again. Creating your unique history is also a good thing to do with your players. By giving them a chance to add to the history of this fantasy world that you're all playing in, it gets them more invested into that very world. You could do this by asking them to come up with local history, something small based on what's already known. Or you might even give them some questions of their own that they can answer for you. Making history collaboratively is just a good idea in a collaborative game. I think, at least. But that kind of sums up where I'm standing when it comes to history and your games. So if there's any other confusion, please bring it up in the comments below and I will address you directly. Let's move on to one of the other things I really wanted to talk about, and that is the video on sexism and racism in tabletop RPGs. And man, did I get a ton of hate for that one. And you know, I mean, it is what it is, right? I probably also lost the most subscribers with that video. Now, to be clear, the decision to make that video came from a place of me trying to address an uncomfortable topic in our hobby, because they exist. But after a lot of reflection, I realized that I didn't do a really great job at that, and I feel it kind of goes against the spirit of the channel, or at least the way I did it. Now, by the time this video is up and you're listening to me, that video will be taken down. I don't want to make taking down videos a common practice, but I feel that for my little channel here, that's just the better decision. So that's what I went ahead and did. I may revisit the subject in the future, but I would like to do some more research to create something more in line with what I want to do with this channel, and that is to be a bridge and not a gate or a wall. I will make a couple of points clear really fast in this video though. The first is that I do not apologize in any way for not subscribing to sexist or racist ideas. I never have, and I just won't. Is it a part of our past? Sure. Do I have to believe in that stuff? Nope. So if that was really the issue we had, which I'd say a good 75% of the people who commented, very nice things to me, that's really what their problem was. So if that was your problem, thanks for stopping by, but that's not going to change. The second thing I'll say, and I said it in a different video, but I'll reiterate it here. We owe Gary Gygax and David Arneson our gratitude for our hobby. Not only did they create this hobby that I and many others love, but they also have families who they've left behind that certainly do not deserve to be treated poorly because of something somebody else read somewhere. So as for me and for my channel, I will still raise a glass to both David Arneson and Gary Gygax, because bottom line is we wouldn't have these communities and these games that we love so much today if it wasn't for them to do it first, and that's still the truth. Speaking of Gygax, though, I don't usually like to do a lot of newsy things here, but there was a big one recently that I thought was worth at least mentioning. Now, other people did videos on this. I would recommend Professor Dungeon Master's video on it specifically, and I'll probably echo a few things that he said here. But a big thing that happened recently is that it appears there are some people at Hasbro that are looking to smooth over past decisions and move forward to a better future for Dungeons & Dragons. They did this by apologizing to the Gygax family, and I believe also some of the other authors from their past, offering to collaborate with these people more to bring out good products that people want. This sounds super promising. Honestly, I think that it's great, and I hope that they follow through on rejoining the tabletop RPG community on the ground level. Now, this channel here will always be about the independent and smaller games, but I would love to see Dungeons & Dragons return to the community where it came from. I honestly think that would be great, and I would welcome that with open arms. Now, as a side thing, not that this matters at all, But what would I like to see happen as they go in this direction? Well, they're doing some of it already with collaborating with people that I think will make some pretty cool products. One thing I would personally like to see is to have an official reprint of the BX, the Advanced and Basic Dungeons and Dragons versions, and possibly even the Holmes and the BEC MI Dungeons and Dragons versions. Especially if they did it with a rehaul in the formatting without actually changing any of the rules. And yes, I do mean leaving THAC0 intact. I think that would actually be awesome to get official reprints, not the photocopied POD style books you can order or anything like that. Official reprints, maybe even with some extra art added in there. They got the money to do it. I would personally just like to see that. I know I'm probably a small minority, but that would be so cool to see some reprints of some of the original materials that really got people into the game as is, just with nice print quality and better formatting. If you agree with me on that, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to see if anybody else thought the same way that I did there. Moving on to some other things that I find to be a bit exciting. There's some stuff that may be in the works that I'm kind of excited about. The first one I want to tell you about is that the creator of Forge, Oliver Fragile, Forge is a game I recently did a video on, is looking into making that illustrated bestiary that I actually suggested in that video. And I can't tell you how cool that is. I'll definitely let you guys know more as I find stuff out, and nothing is yet in concrete, but that might be something that happens in the future, and I can't tell you how excited I am, because I will definitely buy multiple copies of that if it happens. Second thing I wanted to tell you guys about is that I've seen some posts on Reddit from the creators of Five Torches Deep who are looking at possibly releasing a second edition known as 50 Torches Deep. Now, there's only a few Reddit posts that I saw or that I'm at least aware of, but this is pretty exciting to me. And if I do find out more, I will let you know. It sounds like it might be a very interesting thing to follow if this actually does happen. Now, one of the last things I wanted to address, because it's kind of an interesting phenomenon, I recently backed a couple of games, and I'm hoping that when they come in like next year, I'll be able to open them and show you some new cool games that I've been backing. I've also had a couple other games in the past I backed. You've seen my Shadow Dark Premium Edition book that I got from backing Shadow Dark. If that's something that you'd be more interested in knowing about, or if you'd like me to tell you about games that I think are cool that you could back, anything like that, let me know in the comments below. I usually support smaller independent games that interest me a lot, have something unique about them, or have really good artwork. So if there's anything like that that you would like me to check out as well, also throw those in the comments below. I would love to see what you guys think about the current state of Kickstarter and backer kit and how a lot of these games are getting funded. And it's just very interesting for me to watch. But let me know in the comments below what you think about all that. I just think that's just a fun thing to maybe talk about with people. If not, I might just do a video one day on it. We'll see. But all right, my folks. That's all the little tidbits I really wanted to put out here on this little video. I will let you know, guys, and I've stated this in pretty much every video, I don't get paid for this, and I'm not looking to do that at all. And I mean that. Like, I'm not waiting to blow up or just grinding away hoping that I'll get a ton of subscribers. That's not what I'm doing. I'm literally doing this for fun and for my love of tabletop games. I mean, I even realize that a lot of my GM advice isn't really mind-blowingly different. What I'm really trying to do here is take a lot of the stuff I've heard and bring it down to a more simplified form, so that people who are like me can pick up on that a little bit easier. A couple of examples of what I mean people like me might be people that only need like a few rules or a few tips to focus their thoughts and get a game going. Maybe people that also prefer rules-like games like I do. Or the ones that enjoy the collaborative natures of tabletop RPGs. Maybe even you're one of those people that are using tabletop games as a creative outlet. Those are what we're really doing these videos for, and I'm hoping that by simplifying things down, that you can at least pick up an idea or two and hack them into your own personal GM style. In the same vein, by simplifying things, I'm also hoping to make tabletop RPGs more accessible to newer GMs and let them know that things don't have to be overly complex to be fun. It's almost like there's a slogan or something I should throw in here that illustrates that point, or I don't know. Let's move on. But I'd like to give a huge shout out to friends of the channel, Gnomebot Studios, Salty Nick's Tavern, Rocket Punch Press, and Shameful TTRPG. All these people are awesome creators and really cool folks to hang out with. So please check them out. I put links in the description for their channels below. And of course, let me give a huge shout out to you for watching this video. Thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble a bit, and I hope to see you back again. Right here where we learn about tabletop RPGs in order to play for fun first. Thanks for watching, everybody.